Here we are working on worksheet 2.2, talking about slopes of lines. Find the slope of a line passing through the given points and tell whether the line rises, falls, or is horizontal or vertical. And when we say rising or falling, we're going from left to right. As we move from left to right along the line, are we going up, rising, or going down, falling? So make sure you subtract the y's first. The x's, it's always x and then y, x and then y. So the y's get subtracted on top. You're finding the difference in the heights because y's are like the heights. That's how high the points are. On the bottom, you take the difference in the x's. Now, whatever order you subtract the y's, like I did the right y minus the left y, I have to subtract the x's in the same order. So right x minus the left x. So yes, this says 2 minus 4, which will get me a negative number. That happens. So on top I have 4, on the bottom I have negative 2. That simplifies to negative 2. And then, because it's a negative slope, it's going to fall. This is negative. That means when I graph this line or plot the 2 points and make the line, it falls from left to right. Looks like that. I'm not sure how steep it's falling, but it's something like that. I can plot the points and get it precise. I guess I know it drops 2 every time it goes over 1. Anywho, let's find the slope of between these 2 points, or of the line that connects these 2 points. So I'm going to take 2 minus 5, and then on the bottom I'm going to take 6 minus negative 3. 6 minus negative 3. On the top, 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Now on the bottom, this is an easy problem. Add the opposite, and you get 9. In fact, up on top here, 2 minus 5, if you want to add the opposite as well, you could. You also get negative 3. On the bottom, 6 plus positive 3 is 9. This simplifies to negative 1/3. And so again, this is a negative slope, so the line falls. Let's switch colors. Oh boy. Here we're going to take on top, you know what, I'm going to rewrite this. So I realize that I'm going to have to do some subtracting. And so, although when I subtract the y's, actually I already know when you subtract fractions you have to have a common denominator. So on top, I'm going to have 9/4 minus 3/4. And on the bottom, I'm going to have 3/2 minus 1/2. 3/2 minus 1/2. So on the bottom, I get, it's like a little sub answer, I get 2 over 2, which is 1. On the top, I get 6 over 4, which is the same as 3 over 2. So really, I have 3/2 divided by 1, or 1 over 1, or 2 over 2. It's all equivalent. But then to divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So change it to multiplication. The funny thing here is 1 divided by 1 is the same as 1 over 1. So we still get 3/2. Now if this was anything but 1 underneath here, we would have had to have, because you might be like, oh man, I got the same answer, that was silly, Mr. P. Yeah, it's because we're dividing by 1, and that doesn't change the value. But if this was anything other than 1, we would have wanted to show the division like this and change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. And it's a positive fraction, so that is going to rise. We're going up 3 and to the right 2. Let's keep rolling with that. So here we have negative 2 minus negative 2 divided by negative 3 minus 9. So on the bottom, we get negative 12. On the top, when we do a little choppy, we get negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. So we are going up 0, and I guess to the left 12, because my run is a negative, so I'm going to the left. Anyway, this is a horizontal line. The slope is 0. Here, on this problem, we change colors maybe so that way we can see we got a little break. I'm going to squiggle there. Woo! 0 minus 6 divided by negative 5 minus 0. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. Negative 5 minus 0 is negative 5. Now these negatives actually cancel out. Remember, a negative divided by a negative is positive. So I can just write it as 6/5. If you're bothered by that, you could divide the top by negative 1 and the bottom by negative 1. And you get 6/5 again. So this arises. Let's change colors one more time. Woo. Here we get negative 8 minus 5 divided by 7 minus 7. On top we get negative 13. On the bottom we get 0. You can't divide by 0. It's kind of like we're dropping 13 and because we're going down, our rise is 13, which actually means we're falling, but we're not moving left or right. This is a problem. This is an undefined slope. It's a vertical line. Vertical. So this one was a undefined slope. Undefined slope. This is just a plain old boring slope, a slope of 0. If you're going skiing on this horizontal line, that's boring. You're not actually skiing if you're skiing on a vertical line, though. You are falling. Free falling, falling now. Free falling, free falling. Tell where the lines are parallel. That means the slopes are the same. Perpendicular, that means opposite reciprocal. So opposite, one's positive, one's negative. And reciprocal, the rises and the runs, reciprocal, the rise and the runs are switched between the lines, and then neither is not the same nor opposite and reciprocal. So here we go. For line 1, our slope is, I put a L1 there for line 1. We get 5 minus 2 divided by 1 minus 2. 1 minus 3. That's why I should make the arrows. So we get 3 over negative 2, negative 3/2. For line 2, we're getting 8 minus 6 divided by 8 minus 6, 2 minus negative 1, 2 minus negative 1. So we get 2 thirds. Notice this is a negative slope, that's a positive. Notice the 3 is on top, now the 3 is on the bottom, 2 is on the bottom, 2 is on the top. They are reciprocals, and one is positive and one is negative. So these lines are perpendicular. I think that's exciting, so I'm going to put an exclamation point with it. Let's try this one. So negative 8 minus negative 1. Negative 8 minus negative 1. Chop, chop. Divided by 4 minus negative 3. Chop, chop. So we get negative 7 over 7, which is negative 1. And if you want to put that over 1, you could. Line 2, that's line 1. Line 2, we have 2 minus 3 divided by 2 minus 3 divided by 4 minus 5. We get negative 1 over negative 1, which equals a positive 1 over positive 1, because the negatives cancel out. And so these folks are actually also opposite reciprocals. So they are perpendicular as well. One's negative, one's positive. If you switch the ones, which is kind of silly, they work out to be switched up. Bum, bum, bum. I'm running low on time. Here we go. So line 1, 3 minus 1 divided by negative 5 minus negative 2, chop, chop. We get 2 over negative 3. Line 2, 5 minus 3 divided by 3 minus 0 equals 2 thirds. So those are opposites, but they're not reciprocals. So this is neither. Here we have 0 minus 6 divided by negative 5 minus 0, which is negative 6 over negative 5, which is 6/5. For line 2, we have negative 1 minus 4 divided by 2 minus negative 4. Chop, chop. So we get negative 5 over 6. Notice one fraction is negative, one fraction is positive. The 5 is on the bottom for one and the top for the other. The 6 is on the top for one and the bottom for the other. So they're reciprocal and opposite. So this is perpendicular lines. Last but not least, draw a line with the undefined slope. That is a vertical line. Draw a line with a slope of 0. Check your notes. That is a horizontal line. Is that all we have to do? Oh my goodness, that was beautiful.